In this video, I went through all of my plants in the garden, just like last week. So this is going to be another mega garden update, and it was recorded on March 14th, 2021. Let's start with the rooftop with these fruits and vegetables. Here's the grape. If you look closely, it doesn't seem like the buds are forming yet. Here's the asparagus, and if you look closely, you can see the first sprouts forming right here. Not seeing any sprouts around it, but yeah, this is the first asparagus sprout of the year. And over here we have the saffron with all the leaves, and the rhubarb. You can see a lot more leaves. Seems like it's sending out a lot more leaves from the center of each of the plants. Here's the mulberry. Let's take a closer look at the branches. Seems like the tiny buds are getting bigger and a little brighter too. And here's the green onion, and you can see flowers forming. This is the flower of green onion. Right here's another one. Oh no. And of course I broke one of the leaves when I was doing the video recording. Just gonna give you another look at the green onion flower. And over here we have the rosemary. Here's some more flowers forming. And the raspberry. Here's the tiny sprouts. And over here's the buds on one of the older canes. This top one over here is definitely growing. You can see the leaves. And here's the blueberry. Let's take a closer look at the buds. Camera's not really focusing. Oh, got it. But yeah, you can see a lot of buds opening now. These are gonna be flowers. Lastly is the ginger. No sprouts just yet. Here's another side of the outdoor garden. Here's the dahlia. Looks like the new growth is actually dying. You can see it's not really growing anymore. The leaves are not turning green. The calla is doing pretty much the same thing. You can see the sprouts are sort of rotting. It's not turning green. Here's the daffodils. Still sending out flowers. Here you can see this one is gonna open very soon. Here's another flower bud. And here's the younger one. Over here's the rosemary. Lots of new growth. You can see fresh leaves growing. And here's the lavender. If you look closely, they're actually sending out a bunch of new growth as well. The hyacinth flowers have opened. Smell really good, and I really like the colors too. I'll give you a closer look at the flowers. These are the purple blue ones, the white ones, and here's another dark purple blue ones. Snowdrop looks the same. Here's the grape hyacinth. Some of the flowers have started to poke out from the leaves, and they have started to open as well. Here's the peony that I transplanted. Looks like the sprouts are getting taller and bigger now. And here's the tulip that's not going to flower for sure. Here's the grape hyacinth latifolium. You can see flowers forming in each of the sprouts. And over here we have a weed. I'm gonna just pull it out. But beside that, this pot over here is the glory of the snow. If you look closely, you can see all the tiny sprouts growing. And here's the striped squill, that flower that's poked out. And right here's a bunch more of them that's gonna poke out pretty soon too. This is the Persian pearl tulip. If you look closely at the center of the plants, you can see the flower bud forming. Right here is a few more flowers. And the summer snowflakes, it's doing quite well. And here are the crocus for display. You can see all the purple flowers are now fading now. Some of the brighter purple ones are actually still coming out. And here are the white flowers. Same over here. And in the backyard, we have a lot of different plants. Let's look at the hydrangea first. This one over here is the shooting star variety. You can see all the sprouts are getting a lot bigger. And there's a lot of sprouts all over the plants too. Like these ones over here. And right here you can see some flowers forming. Very excited for these flowers. Not sure if there's gonna be flowers over here. Don't see any just yet. And here are the other variety of the hydrangea. All the sprouts are getting bigger and greener now. As for the lily of the valley, I don't think the sprout has changed too much. Maybe it has gotten a little taller. And I'm just going to show you other lily of the valley at different locations. And this plant over here is called winter jewels. It came with the backyard. I really like the flowers. They bloom super early in the winter. And there's also this tree. Looks like the buds are growing now. Not too sure what this plant is yet. Here we have plants that I just watered. This is the birdnest fern. You can see that tiny new leaf is still growing slowly. This is the arrowhead plants. Doesn't look like it's really growing. A little concerned. Here's a succulent. And the staghorn fern doesn't look like it's sending out a lot of new leaves, and some of them are dried out. Here's the philodendron. Right here's a new growth from the base actually. Looks like it's liking the bigger pot for now. And here we have a big snake plant. As for the pothos, looks like it's also sending out some new growth. And here are the orchids and some ferns. Let's start with the maidenhair fern. This is a new plant I got last week. Looks like it's doing pretty well. You can see the new leaves are still growing. And from the base of the plant, there's actually another new growth right here. And that's what I'm trying to look for. It means the plant is healthy and it's still sending out new plants. Here's the mini oncidium. Mostly just new leaves, I think. Here's the other mini oncidium, pretty much the same thing. And here's the mini dendrobium. On some of the new leaves, it seems like there's a bit of a darker red coloration to it. And this is one of the new growth. The phalaenopsis is looking pretty much the same too. Not seeing any major roots or leaf growth. That little spike is still there, hasn't done anything for years now. Here's the odontocidium. The roots are looking healthy still. This is the other odontocidium. These roots are looking super healthy. Then we have the lady slipper orchid. Not too much new growth actually. And here's another one. And the last one is the tiny one that broke off. Doesn't look like the sprout is changing too much, maybe a bit greener. That's a good sign. Here's the mounted staghorn fern. The show frond is not changing too much color actually. Every time I water it, it turned a bit more brown in the center, which is interesting. But yeah, it's sending out more antler fronds, not seeing new shield fronds. Here are a few more plants that I'm watering that start with the string of pearls. You can see the plant is doing quite well. There's a lot of new growths, like these ones over here. And then here's that new plant, the ponytail palm. Hasn't changed too much. Look at those little bulb structure. And this is the pitcher plant. Hasn't changed too much. At the top of the plant, you can see this new leaf forming. Over here, this is the Hoya plant. You can see here's a new growth. And just some new leaves over the plants. And this is, I think this is called the copperstone or something. And the pineapple. Still sending out new leaves. And here we have the succulents. The zebra succulent is looking pretty much the same. No major new growth. And this is the baby plant from that big plant. The elephant bush, it's still actively sending out new growth, like these ones over here. And on this stem, you can see this new leaves over here too. This is the cylindrical snake plant. This leaf is getting super long. This is another snake plant. And the jade plant. If you look closely, you'll see some new leaves forming on this nodes over here. And there's actually some root structure right by the new little growths too. And here we have the finger succulents. Doesn't look too different. Yeah, I'll see if it's sending out new growth. As for the frizzle sizzle, you can see the bulb is definitely darkening. It's turning greener and greener every week. And here's the prayer plant. Look at that new growth. The coloration of this new leaf is beautiful. Very dark, it means it's getting enough sunlight. And here's another new growth. Here's more plants to water. Let's start with the ficus tree. You can see that brighter green leaves. Those are the new leaves, and they're all over the plant. means it's doing very well. Here's the petal succulents. That baby plant is getting a bit bigger, slowly. Here's the Easter cactus. That new leaf is definitely getting bigger. And here's the spider plant. A lot of new leaves, and here you can see a new flower spike growing. Here's the flower spike that I broke. And here we have the dragon tree plants. The new leaves are a lot wider than the older ones. Last batch of plants to water. The arrowhead plants doesn't look like it's growing too much, so I'm a little concerned. And the pear plants, right here, you can see one sprout and another sprout. So 2 sprouts are coming out from this pot. And the new spider plant and the wandering Jew is not doing too well either.